This is a podcast about our lived experience, which unfortunately includes infant death and subsequent mental health struggles. Please take good care of yourself and only listen if this content feels safe for you right now. We'll still be here when you're ready.
The death of my son, moving 3 times in 6 months, my parents' divorce, my husband's job loss.
I was, 12 weeks postpartum. My then husband came out to me as transgender, and just a couple weeks later, our son suddenly died.
Basically, if a baby needs or could ever want it in its first 18 months of life, I already had got it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to As Long As I'm Living. I am Alina, Quinn's mom, and I'm here with Judith, Aiden's mom. And first off, we'll give you a little bit of an update before we move into today's episode, which is going to be about our baby's stuff. We had different approaches to accumulating the stuff and different approaches to getting rid of the stuff and or keeping it. So we have a lot to say about it. So stay tuned. But first,
Wait, could we say it's stuffed with stuff? You see that? This episode is stuffed.
Oh, it is stuffed with.
This is a stuffed episode.
We should have released it on Thanksgiving. Stuffing. Okay. So I'll give a super quick update. Do I have any updates? No. Oh, since I recorded the last episode, I have since shared this podcast with Chloe. So hi, Chloe, you're listening.
And she liked it.
And she likes it. Yeah. So it's been nice to share that with her. Send Chloe some love.
And another update that we have is that we're going to be together next week.
That's right.
That's an update.
Yeah.
That came about quite quickly, but Ali and I will be together. We're going to be getting together next week. So we'll get to record. Maybe we'll do some out and about things on the town, AKA eating. I don't know what we're going to do on the town. What are we possibly going to do out on the town?
We're thinking about doing like a Q&A. If you guys have any questions for us while we're together, we can answer your pressing questions. So
that would be really fun. That'll be really fun. I think it'll be really good.
I think
honestly
too. Okay,
so
tell us your update.
A lot of updates, jam-packed of updates. Okay, so we all know the anatomy scan went well last week. So that was the first piece of good news we got. But the second piece of good news we got was that my husband got a job.
Woo!
So that's wonderful news because I was really worried about health insurance and money. So we're really excited that he's going to be at a great company he's excited to be at. But also we're moving across the country. So let's see, we're moving a few more times, but then we're done moving for a while. So that is exciting. By the end of January, we will be in a place that we plan on being for the foreseeable future. So that's really exciting. A lot to coordinate between now and then, but we're moving to Washington, D.C. area. So I'm looking for an OBGYN there and a pediatrician. If you have any recommendations for someone who is trauma informed, please let me know. Wow. And then what other updates do you have? I today had my final round interview with a company and they want to speak to my references. So I think I'm going to have a job offer myself, which will be really fantastic if we're able to make it work. If we're not, that's fine too. And those are all the updates, right? And we had Aiden's birthday party last Sunday on the 5th.
And so you guys would have just heard a little bit about Aiden's birthday yesterday in the episode that aired yesterday.
We can sum it up by saying that planning a birthday party for a baby that's not there is hard, but it can still be joyous even if it's hard.
Yeah.
I think that's all the updates I have. Jobs, moving, pregnancy.
Blah, 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 blah.
I'm going on a vacation.
Woo!
That's it.
Yeah. All right.
That's so good.
Let's head on into the content. Head into the stuff, shall we?
Let's get stuffed. So where do you want to start? We can tackle this from 20 different directions.
I think we should start from the perspective of how you accumulated the stuff, because I have a lot to say about that. And then I think we should go into what did you do right when they died? And then maybe like, where are we at now with the stuff?
Okay. I'd love to hear about you accumulating the stuff because you had enough clothes for Quinn for an entire year and yes. You had an entire nursery worth of stuff in a house that you owned. And Aiden slept in a pack and play or a bassinet. Like we were really transient because we were living with my parents for a while and we were really transient. So Aiden only had he didn't have a wardrobe of clothes, and he didn't have a dresser, and he didn't have a room, and he didn't have bookshelves. He had books, but not bookshelves. So you have more stuff than I did. So why don't you talk about the accumulating of the.
Yeah. So something you guys should know about me is I'm a planner. And when I have a project, I really go all out on it. And, last year the project was I was growing a baby, and, we bought this house, and I basically, if a baby needs or could ever want it in its first 18 months of life, I already had bought it before he was born, and it was washed and put away. Like literally everything, clothes through 18 months and all the appropriate sizes and seasons, like holiday outfits for every holiday of his first year. I bought Christmas pajamas for him and all the way through size 3T that would match like family, like Christmas pajamas.
Didn't you think that you might want to buy some of this once you like met him? No. Okay.
No. Nope. No. I was like, I love this stuff now. This is something I can be doing right now. Another piece of information that's probably relevant is that this was, I was pregnant. My second trimester of pregnancy with Quinn was when COVID hit. I was 12 weeks pregnant the day that we went into lockdown. And so I was furloughed from my job. And so I was literally just like unemployed, had this new house. Like I was like, I got to find something to do. So I was like painting the nursery. Like I did all this stuff. I did all this planning. I have spreadsheets of like, of the clothes that I have in all the different sizes. Like I even was like Googling, like how many pairs of socks do babies need in the 0 to 6 month size versus like the, 6 to 12 month size. Like I had everything. We had a bouncer. We had like winter clothes all the way through. Like we had literally everything, diapers in 3 different sizes. We had like garbage bags for the diaper pail. I mean, literally the listeners, I cannot overstate this. We had everything that any baby could ever need for at least 1 year and more.
Wow.
Yeah. So
to me, what I hear when I hear you say that is that you were not anxious at all. Like in terms of like living or dying, you were 100% convinced that this child was going to live.
Okay. So it's funny you say that because what I hear is, wow, Alina was really anxious about something. But no, it was not that I was anxious about him dying. He was alive. He was going to live. I had no anxiety about him dying. Like clearly, because I planned all of this for him to be alive. Like I can definitely,
that's so interesting.
I know, I can definitely see like some other kind of anxiety and control freakness in that. That's not the same, but
I don't even know what to make of that. Like part of me is impressed, and then part of me is like, that is a lot of planning. And I think I also am an anxious person. I would never have bought anything beyond what I needed immediately because I was convinced that it was bad luck. Like somehow if I had too much stuff, the universe would know and then he would die, which is actually what happened.
That is
so
what
I don't
happened.
think that that is exactly what happened. So I mean, I don't think the universe knew because I didn't have clothes for him. But I definitely was like, I am not going to buy anything more than I immediately need. One of it was because we thought we were moving across the country, but also because it made me nervous to plan too far in advance. But you did not have that.
No, I did not.
I find that fascinating.
Me
so
too.
Can we pause for a minute? How do you feel about the fact that I'm 20 weeks pregnant and have not purchased one item? Technically, you have purchased more items for my baby than I have purchased for my baby. So, I mean, do you hear that and you're like, Judith, you got to get planning?
No.
Or do you no?
No. Oh my God. No, I don't think that at all. First of all, I completely get where people are coming from where they don't do what I do. Like I definitely did. Mine was like completely overkill. Like,
okay. I was just wondering if you thought you were overkill or if I was underkill.
No, I can't conceive of how far under the kill you were. That's like a very extreme to me that I couldn't do. But I do think that there's a healthy medium in there. Like I was not healthy in this.
I don't think either of us were on the healthy spectrum. I don't think either of us were on the healthy spectrum. And in fact, when I wanted to announce my pregnancy with Aiden, I wanted to get a onesie for my parents that said like grandma and grandpa or something, but I couldn't even bring myself to buy a onesie for an announcement. I was that superstitious. Wow. I would not have a onesie in my house until I was 30 7 weeks pregnant. So, okay. So I don't think I was healthy, but I don't think you were healthy.
Am I wrong? Isn't that something in the Jewish tradition that you don't have baby showers, right? You don't have stuff before the baby comes.
I did have a baby shower, but there is a concept of it. Yeah, where some people don't say not everyone, but some people don't say the gender. Some people don't have baby showers. Some people don't buy things. It's kind of like a superstitious, like evil eye idea that I don't know if it's healthy or not healthy, but I don't think that my anxiety or concern came from the Jewish faith. I think that I was personally anxious on my own.
Yeah. I believe it.
I got that one from birth.
Okay. Lucky you.
Okay, so you had all your stuff. I had not a lot of stuff. And then what happened?
Well, spoiler, our babies died.
And you had so much stuff.
I had so much stuff. So much stuff. And like, I'm grateful to that we were in a house, that we were able to stay in, because we didn't touch that stuff for a long time. Like I think within a couple of days of him dying, I did have my family like clean up everything that was in the common areas. Like we moved the bassinet from our bedroom into his nursery. So at least, and like we took a lot of the like, diapery stuff. I put a lot of stuff in the basement, but everything that was like his or anything that was in his nursery or like any of his toys, anything that was out, like was still out. It was just in his nursery, kind of like tucked away. So like, I didn't have to look at it in the living room. Like I know one thing that was really sad was the play mat, which was out all the time because we laid him on that all the time. And that got put away. But other than that, I had his nursery basically intact the way it was when he was alive through July of this year. So that was like a full 6 months that I still had access to all of his stuff in the way it was when he died. And it was a lot of stuff.
And what about his dirty clothes?
Oh gosh, Judith, this breaks my heart. We had just done laundry when he died. So we have one onesie.
Wow.
That he wore. I know exactly which one it is. It's in my nightstand right now. It's the only thing. So besides obviously like the onesie that he died in,
Did you choose
that was in, I have no idea where it is. I'm assuming it's like in the hospital trash can or something. I don't know. I don't think I would want it, honestly.
No, we don't have that either. I was just wondering.
Yeah. So, but the clothes, I mean, there were some other things like his snowsuit and stuff. Like we did wind up washing a couple things that he had worn or not worn, but like had used or like spit up on, which I feel okay about. But yeah, we have only one outfit, sadly. But I still have it. It doesn't smell like him anymore, unfortunately. It goes away. How about you?
We had an apartment and we went to my parents' house every day because that's where my husband was working out of because he just had more space. So even though we didn't have a lot, we had double of everything. So we had 2 play mats, we had 2 bassinets, we had a diaper changing pad, and at my parents' house there was a diaper changing pad. So he died at our apartment, and I told my parents, can't go back inside there after we said goodbye to him. I didn't want to go back inside at all. So I told my parents, we'll come to your house. And then I asked my parents, I said, I just don't want to see his stuff out. So my husband and I took a walk around the block. And then my parents went home. My husband and I took a walk around the block because we didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And then we met up at my parents' house. And when we got to my parents' house, they had put all of his stuff, for the most part, in a pile in my dad's office. For the most part, everything was there. But then for like a week and a half, it was probably longer than a week and a half. It was probably for a month. Like every time I did laundry, like a sock would be there or a onesie would come out somehow. We had the Dreft laundry detergent. So things would smell like him. There were just a lot of little things that just continued to pop up. Every time I thought I had moved something into the pile in the office, like I'd find a pacifier, or all this stuff is so little. But there were like a couple outfits of his that I loved so much that were dirty, and I put them in a plastic bag and I kept them in my drawer, and they smelled like him for a while. And then the stuff at our apartment, I really didn't want to go back. But my husband started going back to the apartment within a few weeks just to start cleaning it up. And he said, I'll do anything with any of the stuff, whatever you want, but I want to get rid of and never look again at two things. The first was his bassinet, and the second was the changing pad, because when Aiden died, my husband did CPR on him on the changing pad. So he's like, I don't want to look at that ever again. So I said, okay. So he dumped that out. I don't know where. And then later on, maybe like a month later, I spoke to my therapist, which is the next phase of what to do with the stuff. And I was like, my husband's going to finish cleaning out the apartment. Should I go and like pack up his clothes, or should I let my husband do it? And my therapist said, you can always go and stop. You can always start packing and stop, but you can never, if you let someone else pack for you, you will never get the chance to pack it again. Is that kind of the guidance you got?
I wouldn't say I got any guidance, but that is the attitude that I had about it, for sure.
Yeah.
And I want to call out like what your husband said about the bassinet. I had the same thing. I was like, I'm happy to give Quinn's things away. I'm happy to use them for other babies. I'm going to, hang on to some things, but like his crib where he died, and his bassinet, which is not where he died, but I just, they feel haunted. They feel haunted to me. So I mean, my family knows this. I was like, we got to figure out a way to get rid of this. Like, I don't want to put it out on the street because I don't want somebody to take it. Like, I cannot bear the idea of someone else's baby sleeping in this haunted crib. Like, I can't do it. So we wound up having half of it taken away with the junk hauler, and we're going to get another junk hauler in like a couple weeks and have them do the other half.
That's smart. We my husband packed up the bassinet in the trunk, and then he was like, well, where should I put it? Like, he's like, where should we dump it? I was like, I don't know. Where do you want to dump it? He's like, I don't know. I was like, well, let's just go and find a dumpster. So we drove around looking for a dumpster, and guess what? We could not find a dumpster. So eventually I didn't want to put it on the curb for the same reason. I didn't want anyone to use it. So eventually I convinced my husband to go into the back of some apartment complex and put it in someone else's communal dumpster. But like, he was mortified because just when he came out with the bassinet, people started coming downstairs, and like there were these people hanging out in the front of this apartment complex where we don't know anyone. And he was like hauling a bassinet to the dumpster. And then I was taking one piece and he was taking one piece. And then we got in the car and drove off. And the whole time he was so angry at me. He was like, Judith, we can't just put things in people's dumpsters.
For some reason, I'm like hearing you tell the story, and I'm hearing it with the ears of someone who hasn't lost a baby. And I'm hearing how it just must be shocking and crazy that like, this is stuff that you have to do. You have to think about how to dispose of your dead baby's crib.
Yes. And I had the same thought that you did. I didn't want anyone to use it.
Yeah.
I remember, oh my gosh. I remember when he first died, we had just ordered size 2 diapers. And we had just bought in more formula for him. So there was a lot of diapers around, a lot of formula. And my sister and my mom, I was sitting at the table. They probably discussed this for 25 hours. You would think that we had an army supply of diapers. We had like 1 box of diapers, maybe 2 boxes of diapers. But all they could do was discuss what they were going to do with these diapers. Oh my God. It was like, we're going to send it to this food bank, this bank, this bank. They were like calling food banks, trying to arrange these diapers. And then in the end, I was like, don't touch these diapers. They're my diapers. These are my diapers to throw out. Mm-hmm. I will throw out the diapers or donate the diapers on my timeline. Mm-hmm. And in the end, my mom actually threw out the diapers, or she gave them away. I don't know what she did, but we had a long talk about her moving the diapers without my permission.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everyone at the time was just looking for something to do, and the diapers and the formula felt like a solvable problem.
Yeah. I asked my mother-in-law because like I said, like I was really way too stocked up on stuff. So I did keep the box of diapers that was open that we had been using, but I also had like 2 additional boxes of diapers and like a year's supply of wipes. Like honestly, like I was deranged. You guys. I had everything, but so I did I sent my mother-in-law I was like, just get it out of my house. And she put it in her trunk. And I also like, this is also like, just to add another layer on this, I had a whole bin of like postpartum care type things, like, the Freedom Mom, like, postpartum underwear and like the Perry bottles and the like padsicles and everything, like the really good high quality stuff. I had a whole bunch of extras of those that were stored in a bin. And I said to my mother-in-law, I was like, I'm not having another baby anytime soon. I cannot look at this stuff. I need you to take this away. And I remember the way she looked at me was just so much sadness and pity. And I was like, yeah, it's really sad. Yes, I am this sad that this is happening.
Someone had sent me a box of nuts to keep by my bed when I was like breastfeeding, and like whenever I woke up at 2 or 3 in the morning, I would have a handful of nuts. And I remember some guest came to my house for Shiva, and I took the box of nuts and I forced it in their arms. And I was like, I don't care what you do with these nuts, but do not keep them in my house. I was like, take these damn nuts.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at them anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I think every person is so different because like we have very different ways that we approach this, and every single lost parent I've talked to has approached this in a completely different way. Like if you're trying to support somebody through this, like you have to just ask them because you can't predict what they're going to want to do, what they're going to want to keep, what they're going to want to get rid of. So,
and I feel like I would just send a PSA to everyone out there who's supporting a grieving person. When it comes to this stuff, you're never going to understand what they're attached to, why they're attached to it. Like it's not going to make sense. It's going to look weird. But you just have to let them lead you. It's like, that expression, don't yuck someone's yum. Do you know that?
Yeah. Yes.
I feel like it's kind of like that in a totally different context. But I feel like don't put judgment on someone else's process. If somebody else wants to put up 1 million pictures of their deceased loved one or wants to keep all their clothes in their closet, who are you to say not to?
Yeah. Like I hope that you will never know what it feels like to have that loss, that they would have to hold on to those things.
Yes. And my dad made a comment to me at some point because all the stuff was in his office, and he said, I lost him too. It's hard for me to look at this pile of stuff. And I at some point just said, like, I don't care. Because I mean, I'm sure he's right. Like, I'm sure it was hard, but we ended up covering it with a tablecloth. It was like so hard for anybody to look at that we just took a huge orange tablecloth and covered this pile of stuff. And it took me 5 months to work my way through that pile of stuff. Mm-hmm. Every so often I'd go in there and I would just work on like one little piece at a time, a couple of onesies, some, spit up cloths or a book. And then with time, I put it in boxes in my parents' shed. But I would like smell every item. I one time took his onesie and I put my head in it. It makes no sense. What was I looking for in there? I don't know what I was looking for in there. I just wanted it. I just wanted it to be surrounded by him again. Mm-hmm. So I had this onesie on my head for a while. And I just feel like there's no right or wrong. Like
there's no right or wrong.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. 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 So, all right. So here's where we're at now. Here's where I'm at now with my stuff. So, one kind of, extra devastating, not that it's not always devastating, but one kind of extra devastating piece of this is that because Chloe and I are separating, we have had to split Quinn's things. So I don't have access to all of the fairy favorite things.
How do you decide who got what?
She's been, I'm definitely having more children. And she has been really kind about letting me take the things that feel really meaningful to me. And then, so she has, I would say we each have 3 really meaningful, special things that are like the things that we really strongly associate him with. And I'm so terribly sad that I don't have the 3 that she has. And I'm sure she feels the same about the ones that I have. But pretty much other than that, I have everything. I have a bin of every item of clothing he ever wore. I sat through one day and I went through every single thing. And if I remembered him wearing it, even if just for 5 minutes, it went into the worn bin.
Where is it though? Where is that?
It's in my apartment, in my closet. Regardless, it was important for me to have that stuff separate from just like the other stuff in the sizes that he, didn't wear. Yeah. So there's that. And then Chloe and I also had to split Quinn's ashes, which is really hard. Just the idea of having to do that is really sad, but it feels worse to not have Quinn be with both of us, obviously.
Yeah. And what about his stroller and his car seat? And do you have a list for this?
Oh, I have a whole list. Yeah.
Oh dear Lord.
So I'll give you guys a little verbal tour of my apartment and what I have in what room that's his. So in my bedroom, Quinn's dresser is my dresser. I have a print that was in his nursery that the way the sky looked the night that he was born. I have his rocker, which that's a thing that I always am thinking like, that would be weird for like a date to see a rocker in the bedroom, but like whatever, like I like having the rocker there. I do have a photo of him in my room. And then I am an adult 30-year-old childless woman, and I have a drawer of diapers in my dresser because I like to open it up and smell it. I like to smell them. And I still have it. I still have a drawer of diapers. And then that's also where I keep like his special sleepers that are.
Do you remember when I came to your house for the first time?
Yes.
I opened up the drawers, and because they were born around the same time, we had so many of the same clothing. Mm-hmm. And remember, we like held one up that they had both had, and we were just.
You held up the whale one, which is the only one that Quinn wore and didn't wash. That's the one that you held up, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Aiden had that one too. Mm-hmm. And I held it up, and even now, like, gets me emotional thinking about it. Like I just, yeah.
In the living room, I have a couple photos of him. I have my 3 favorite books of his out in my living room, along with my regular books. I have his urn in my living room. I have the canvas, the big like centerpiece canvas that was above his crib in his nursery. That's in my living room here at my new apartment. The nursery rug I have here in my apartment, which that one's kind of surprising to me that I have it, because for a while I had a really negative association with this rug because, I had to do CPR on him on this rug. And so my last memory of him is him, dead on this rug. Are we going to cut this out?
I don't know. I mean, that's my life.
Yeah. Definitely going to put a trigger warning on this one. Yeah. So for a while I had a really kind of negative association with this rug, but then, as I was moving out, I was like, this was the last place I saw his body. And also like, I have so many memories of him on this rug, like just laying him out on this rug. And I liked the rug. So I did wind up taking it, which that one really surprised me that I wanted to do that. And this is why, like, I'll say, if you're in the beginning of it, like, don't make any final decisions in the beginning.
Yes.
Like take your time. I'm in a support group, and what she says is like, when in doubt, don't yet. Yeah. And that doesn't mean don't ever, but like, if you're not sure, and like, I think Megan Devine says, if it makes you feel nauseous, don't.
Yes.
Like, just don't do it yet. Like, the idea of clearing out Quinn's nursery made me feel like I literally was going to crawl out of my skin for like 6 weeks. And then for a while it felt, painful and sad. And then at some point I did it. We grow in strength over time. And then I have his footprint in a frame on the wall. I know, Judith, you're jealous of that because you don't have
I am. I'm really angry that I don't have a footprint. Yeah. You better believe this kid, the one that's coming out of me next, the minute it lands on my chest, I'm getting a damn footprint. I want a fucking footprint.
And then I have
I almost want to take Quinn's footprint and pretend it's Aiden's footprint and
honestly, you can. They were the same size, right? Like, who cares?
do.
And then I have the ultrasound magnet on the fridge, which I made before he was born. I gave them to like the grandparents and stuff, and I have one. And then in the bathroom of my apartment, I have two things from Quinn. One is a print of otters from his nursery. And then the other thing is this bench. It has his name on it. Some of Chloe's mom's, some of my mother-in-law's friends got this cute little, bench made, like, how like kids need a little stool to like reach the sink. It's like one of those, and it has his name on it. And I still have it in my bathroom. It's like the most useless object in my home because like I can reach the sink.
I'm going to need it for when I come.
But so I have it in there, and I'm trying to decide like how to tell this story.
You had a guest over.
Yeah. So I had a guy over, and he already knew that, my son had died, and this guy had some trauma of his own that he had gone to therapy for and worked through. It was not loss of this nature, but I felt like at first I was feeling like he kind of got it because he knew what it was like to like have a plan for your life and have it kind of get, blown up or whatever. So anyway, I invited this guy back to my apartment, and he went to the bathroom at some point, and he came out and he sat next to me on the sofa, and he goes, "Does your therapist know that you still have that stool in your bathroom?" And I turned to him. I was like, yeah. I was like, there's baby books over there. Like, here's the print that was in his nursery. This is the rug from his nursery. Like, there's his urn.
Yeah, exactly. He's in this room. So, I mean, if his stool is in the room and that freaks you out.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, that was not a love connection.
We never saw that guy again.
But I will say I do have a little ritual of like things that I put away. If there's any chance that I'm going to be inviting somebody back to my apartment, there's a couple things that I do. I do just because it feels like it's not like it's a secret. It just feels like it's private. Like I don't need them to know that Quinn's urn isn't right up front. Like I keep it out, but I do turn it so that it looks a little less urny. I know Quinn forgives me.
A little less urny.
A little less urny. Bert and Ernie. And then, so every other thing, as I mentioned before, I bought zillion baby things, and all of it is either packed up in boxes in my apartment closet. So I have half of his toys, half of his books. Chloe has the other half. All the clothes he never grew into, I have all of those. And then a bunch of things I gave, my friend had a baby in June, and I drove up a big load of things for them. So that was the diaper pail, like a bunch of diapers and wipes, the diaper bag, the My Breast Friend nursing pillow, diaper caddies, the car seat, a bunch of breastfeeding supplies, pacifiers, a couple of swaddles, a particular hat that Quinn actually wore, but that felt specifically like I was giving something of Quinn's to that baby, and that felt really nice. Whereas everything else was like I was just kind of getting rid of things and happy to have somebody using them. And then my jogging stroller went to, you guys know about my friend Kate, who had a baby last week. She actually got Quinn's jogging stroller.
Really?
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I gave Kate Quinn's jogging stroller, and that felt really good to do. When she brought it home, she texted me and she said, Alina, I one of Quinn's diapers is in the zipper pouch of the jogging stroller. Like, what do you want me to do with this? It was a clean diaper. She said, there's a diaper here. Like, do you want me to hang on to this for you and give it back to you the next time I see you? And I was like, that is so sweet. Thank you so much for even thinking of it. Like, that's why it feels so special to have lost mom friends, because we understand like how these little things can have so much meaning. But she was like, what do you want me to do with it? And I was like, you know what? I've thought about it. It's okay. I think you can get rid of it. I do have a lot of his diapers here. And she said, you know what? I'm not doing that. I'm putting it with my daughter's stuff. And she put a little post-it on it that said Quinn's diaper. And she put it in with her daughter who died and with her stuff, which I thought was really sweet. So now Mabel has a little diaper of Quinn's in with her stuff.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. And I've been thinking about what to do with the stuff that I have. And one of the things that I've been thinking about is with all of Aiden's books, he got so many books as gifts. I mean, Jews like to read. So I feel like he has like 5 libraries worth of books. I was thinking about writing in the inside jacket, like, like love Aiden, like from Aiden. So that way future children can read those books, but they'll always know that they were Aiden's, because I don't want it to get lost.
I've had that same idea. I want to do that too, and say like, this was given to Quinn by, Aunt Susie or whatever, and just have that, because I'm sure other kids of mine will get books as gifts too. And I feel the same way.
Want it to get, I've thought about taking his clothes and making a quilt, but I won't do it. I thought about it, but then I was like, I'm not going to do it. Right now, if I still want to stick my head through his clothes, like I need it to be intact. I mean, at some point, maybe I'll be ready, but I'm not ready to do that now.
Yeah. So what's the status of Aiden's stuff?
Aiden's stuff is in big plastic boxes in my parents' shed. And my dad called me the other day and said, now that you know that you're moving, we have to give an update. I will give an update in a minute about that. But now that you know that you're moving, I want you to come and kind of like empty out all your stuff, because I don't know if I'm going to keep the house or sell the house. So he wants it to be empty in case he decides to sell. So now, and we're moving across the country, so we have to make some tough decisions about what to do with Aiden's stuff. And I've kind of narrowed it down to 3 categories in my head. Category 1 is like practical. First of all, this is very Alina of me. Do you hear? I have categories.
I love it already.
3 thought through categories, just not written down on paper categories. Okay, category 1 are like practical things that I have no problem using for a future baby. And that is like his stroller, the diaper bag, and the car seat, like big, big things. Then there are things that 100% I feel very sentimentally attached to, that I will pack up, but they will come with me on the airplane. Like I'm not shipping it. I'm so afraid if something happened to it, I'm not shipping it with my car. I'm not putting it anywhere. Whereas the stroller, I would ship it because it's a stroller. I don't feel sentimentally attached to the stroller, but other people might. So then I have those items. So that is the stuff he wore. Anything that his play mat, like you said, no child will ever touch those things except for him, or wear those things except for him. That's going to go into the room that I'm going to put aside for him in my brain. And it's going to go into a physical room somewhere. And then there's a 3rd category of things that I really need to go through, and I will ship it with stuff. Like I don't need it to be on me, but I haven't decided I'm going to get rid of it. Part of me thinks like maybe I should give it to some of my friends' babies who are having, some of my friends are having baby boys. So part of me thinks that I should do that. But a lot of it is stuff like that he just never got to, Like I don't need a size 2T bathing suit. And I don't necessarily feel like I want to save it for a future baby to give either.
Yeah.
So I would say like that's the category of stuff that I don't want to donate. I don't want to throw out, God forbid. I want to give it to someone who's going to use it.
Yes, that's right.
I don't care if it's a lost. I mean, if it's a lost mom, that would feel really meaningful. But if it's not, I just want someone to use it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Makes a lot of
sense. Those are the 3 categories in my head. So we now have to like piece through everything. Again, like when I packed it up, I didn't really make any decisions. I just packed it up. Yeah. And now I'm unpacking it and repacking it to decide what I want to do with it. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. Like it's so hard to look at that stuff and to smell it. And you know what really shocked me? Like I went into the shed, and that's where the stroller is. And like in the stroller, there's like bottles of water for the formula that are like still full. Or there was like a dirty onesie in a bag. Or there was like, I had a power bar and the wrapper was still in the cup holder.
I know. It's like Pompeii. We're like frozen in time. Frozen in time.
Yes. The same thing with his little backpack thing that I used. Like it's frozen in time. There's still stuff in there. There's dirty stuff, not like a dirty, like spit up cloth. Mm-hmm. I had pens at the bottom because I was like, what if I need to write something down? Mm-hmm. I had like, I don't know. There's stuff in there that is frozen in time. And part of what's hard is that once you move it, that means that time is over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm hesitant to do anything with it because even though I'm not sentimental about the diaper bag itself, I'm sentimental about the frozen in timeness of the stuff inside.
Can I give you a really good example of this?
Yeah.
So when Quinn died, I used to have water bottles everywhere because I would nurse him in various parts of our house. So I had my downstairs water bottle, I had my nightstand water bottle, and I had my Quinn's nursery water bottle. And every night before I fed him for his nighttime feeding, I would fill the water bottle and I, sat down, I fed him for his nighttime feeding before bed as usual. Chloe put him to sleep that night after that. And then, the next morning I went in to go get him and he had died. And I remember coming back into the room later that day and the water bottle was just sitting there full. And I was like, oh my God, like I filled that water when he was alive. And do you want to know what I did? I sipped on it little bits at a time for like 4 months.
Yeah.
Little teeny tiny sips at a time. I took the last sip the Saturday before Mother's Day. And that was May. Yeah. And the kind of crazy part is, how we were talking about like things feel super meaningful. And then at some point you feel ready.
Yeah.
I could have kept the water. Like I was thinking like, maybe I'll do the last sip on Mother's Day, like whatever. And then finally, like the day I did the last, I was like, I'm done with this. And I like chugged the last little bit of it. Like, cause I was like, I felt ready to move on from that ritual, but I was taking one little sip every single day for 4 months from that water bottle.
I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
When Adam was alive, I hated breastfeeding. So we were bottle feeding. And we constantly had this stupid fight, me and my husband, because my husband would measure out how many ounces he was going to have in a day. And then he would pre-make a jug of formula to that exact amount. And then I was supposed to take a bottle and fill it from the pre-made stuff. I wasn't supposed to make new stuff, because if I made new stuff and he didn't finish it, then it was to waste. But if I got it, I was from this pre-made jug, like he had a whole system. Okay. And I literally sucked at it. I'm telling you right now, I always wasted formula. It was just, I couldn't think of that. So he started writing on the top of the formula jars. It said, check the fridge, or he'd write any in the fridge. And then he wrote, Judith, did you check the fridge? Like every formula can had a note on top of it to tell me in permanent marker, check the fridge. And when he died, I couldn't throw away. I just kept the caps.
Yeah.
Because I just thought it was so emblematic of the time. I didn't have any attachment to the actual formula, but I did have attachment to the any in fridge.
In fridge.
They were everywhere. Oh. There were always some in the fridge, and I never did it.
Oh my gosh.
And when I went to go pack his clothes from the apartment, I don't know if I remember if I called you crying about this, but I called someone crying. I had knocked over, I think this was before I knew you. I went to the house and there was a pile of dirty laundry that hadn't been cleaned yet. So I went through and I took the stuff that was his and I put it separate. So I didn't wash that, but our stuff I did wash. And I knocked over the detergent bottle, and it was there was still some left in it. There was maybe an inch left of detergent. And I got so sad because I thought to myself, his entire life lived in one detergent bottle.
Yeah.
I just stared at that detergent bottle for so long. I couldn't believe that his entire life was one detergent bottle. How many detergent bottles have you used in your entire life? Thousands.
I know. I mean, we still have the actual bottle of soap that we used for his baths. And it's a third gone. It was a big bottle of soap, but we used a third of it. A third, my son's life was a third of a bottle of body wash.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been thinking about this and I'd love your opinion. Do you think it's easier that there's less stuff? I'll say the one thing that I do think is easier is, and I know we felt this on 4th of July, you had a onesie for Quinn that you had prepared for him to wear on 4th of July. And I had not one thought about 4th of July, Aiden on 4th of July. My mind, it just never occurred to me that he would live on. I mean, I'm sure I assumed he'd be alive, but I certainly did not have any sentimental attachment to it. And it was much harder for you than it was for me. And I almost feel when you have, he was never here for Memorial Day. I didn't plan on being him, so I didn't miss him as much as I think I would have if I had that memory. And part of me is I don't know if it's positive or negative. when I think about this baby I'm pregnant with now, I will not allow myself to think far beyond her being on my chest born. I can imagine that moment. I can imagine Passover because she's going to be born like on Passover. But I have not thought one day past that first week because I know it's harder when you have a hope, a wish, a dream for that and you don't have it than if you have no expectations.
I completely agree with that. And I'll give you like, so the 4th of July is a great example. Like I said, I had bought stuff for his whole first year. So like I had his Valentine's Day onesie picked out. I had a St. Patrick's Day onesie picked out. I had a 4th of July onesie picked out. So like on Valentine's Day and on St. Patrick's Day and on 4th of July, I was sitting there holding the onesie that he was supposed to be wearing that I had imagined him in. And he wasn't there. And that was like just really, really hard and sad. But that said, I do feel like it also gave me the opportunity to kind of connect with him on those days because I had this image of him. Like when he was alive, I had pictured him on Valentine's Day, me and him on Valentine's Day. So holding that onesie, I was able to kind of, it gave me a little bit of a connection to him that was nice. But I do think overall it's probably more painful to have had to deal with that.
I agree. On one hand, like it feels good to be able to hold something because it's a reminder that they existed and they were meant to be existing at this time. On the other hand, emotionally, it's so much harder. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I don't know if the right thing would be to not try and fantasize too far ahead or if it is. I don't know. I remember after he died, like I find receipts in my purse from February and I'd be like, oh my God, he was alive then. Or did I tell you about the vaccine thing? So we had 3 vaccine shots. So you know that he was alive on the first one. He had just died with the second. And now I'm pregnant with a new baby on the 3rd. So in those 3, that card, even that card itself, it like tells a story. And I feel like that's how it was for so long. Like I'd pick something up and it was from either before or it's from after.
All this stuff that you don't even think of, but the dates then hold so much meaning. It is such a stark before and after.
Yes. The only thing I'll say is that the after has become much longer than the before. And so it's like, I don't find receipts from them anymore because that would be, it was only 3 months of time. How wild would it be if I found in 3 months of time, you know?
Yeah.
So how can we end this not on a sad note?
I don't know. Here's something I'll say that I, you know, didn't have this written down, but I would love to share this. So I had pumped a lot of breast milk while Quinn was alive, and then he stopped taking a bottle. So I wound up with this whole store of milk that even if he had lived, he would never have drank. But literally the day he died, within 3 hours of me finding him dead, I had reached out to a local milk bank. It's called Mother's Milk Bank Northeast. And I arranged to have my breast milk donated. And I think, so that is something that I feel really good about. That was something like, that was the first of Quinn's things. I'm using air quotes. That was the first of his stuff that I got rid of or, you know, made a move to get rid of. And it felt so good because I was like, oh my God, like these sick babies in the NICU are going to get this milk because my son died. Like that made me feel so good. And that felt, it's just like, I think honestly, the key, like when you're thinking about the baby stuff and like what to do with it is like, if it makes you feel even slightly better than, do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's like, we're looking for the least bad option because obviously like we want the baby there, but like giving the milk away felt really good. Again, it's called Mother's Milk Bank Northeast.
Were you the one who told me about the Hells Angels?
Yes. And that's the crazy part too, is that there's this organization, Mother's Milk Bank Northeast. They have this companion relationship with this like biker chick gang. And so this lady on a motorcycle came over and she picked up my breast milk and she was like, don't worry, it's in safe hands. And she had a cooler like strapped to the back of her motorcycle and she took my breast milk away. And it was like,
that is cool.
Yeah. It was so sweet. So
that is really cool.
Yeah. I love that.
That is really cool.
That went there. And I did give some of my breast milk to my friend Julia for her baby. I was like, I don't need, please don't tell me if you don't use this. I just need to think that a baby is drinking this milk. Like just take it. You can throw it away when I leave.
Okay, well, I think that covers the stuff.
That covers it.
That covers the stuff. So we will see you guys next Monday. Wait.
We're going to be together as
Yes.
the episode releases.
Yes. We're going to record a normal episode when we're together next week, which will be so much fun. Maybe we'll have a surprise guest. We've thought about it. We've discussed it, dabbled in it. So that'll be really exciting.
Yeah.
I will see you next week. To all of our wonderful new friends, we want to hear from you. Email us at aslongasimlivingpodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at aslongasimlivingpodcast. We'll get back to you as soon as our grieving brains allow.
Yay.